Hello there, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My dear friends, my name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming, and welcome to another one of my Rate My Shoe videos, in which one of you guys, Indiana's come to help us today with our shoe rating process. One of you guys has sent me some images of your shoes and you are seeking my views and observations on your collection and what perhaps might I suggest that I could feel you needing in that little collection of yours. So today's shoes, if I can see them, thanks to Indiana's tail, is from Andy. I believe Andy hails from the US, and today I am going, if I can, look at your shoes and tell you a little bit something about them. It's got a broad selection of shoes, so I'm going to progress through these rather smartly if I can. Excuse me. So let's have a look what we've got first, because it's important to get the essentials down, and this is exactly what I see here in this pair of black semi-brogue Oxford shoes. They're actually Edmonds Strand shoes, very popular in North America, of course. Edmonds, they've been around since 1922, so they've now celebrated their centenary. And I think they make all their shoes in Port Washington in Wisconsin. So they're a proper dyed-in-the-wool American brand, one of the very few actually. A lot of controversy lately about Edmonds. Of course, in recent years they've changed hands a few times. They've been owned by an investment company. I think in 2016 they were bought by somebody else. And I have heard people who communicate with me telling me that the quality of these shoes has been somewhat questionable, but it is. I've never owned a pair, right? Being British, I obviously have a surfeit of beautiful shoe companies to choose from. Something about me wants me to try a pair eventually, but right now what I'm looking at is a very nice pair of shoes. I actually like the look of Edmonds, and as far as I'm aware, I mean, they always have been extremely robustly put together. They have a factory refurbishment program. And I like the brogue style shoes that they produce. And these strands, which are clearly, an Oxford brogue, semi-brogue, they're going to look great in pretty much any situation where you need to dress up smartly. Maybe you're wearing a suit. Remember, of course, black, very much quite a formal colour. So this is something I'd be wearing probably with a dark suit. Even you could call these a funeral pair of shoes. Get a bit of a shine on the toe cap. Brings them up looking damn good. It's a good pair of functional business shoes, as I would describe. But we're going to move on, if Indy's tail lets me. So now we're getting back to the right side of the pond, and we're at Barker's. Barker's, I've been to their factory. They've got a modern factory built in the, 1980s, 1990s. Barker's is one of those brands from a Northamptonshire manufacturer. They were a family company. They're now owned by an international sort of company these days. They're based in Earls Barton in Northamptonshire. They've been around since 1880, so they've got a lot of experience under their belt of manufacturing high quality shoes. And what we see here is the Barker's McClean Spectator shoe. This would cost you, by the way, £325 were you to go out and buy this today. And what we see is what I would call a bit of a signature shoe. This is a shoe, it's clearly not a business shoe, I would say. It's a shoe that you're wearing. There's an element of casuality in it because it's mixed colours. It's a hybrid colour pattern going on here. The colour of the leather itself is rather red. I would say it's beyond oxblood or burgundy. This is definitely red. And it is a full wingtip brogue. And the thing that we have here, some of the panels have what appears to be either suede, well, it is suede by the look of it, a navy coloured suede inserts. So to look upon the shoe, what you're getting is a colour palette going on. We can tell it's a casual shoe because the sole is a different colour to the upper. So generally speaking, if you see a shoe where the side of the sole is visible and it's lighter than the upper, it immediately propels it into casual territory. So this is a shoe that you would wear going out with mates, maybe for an evening out where you're trying to jazz up the look. I like it. Being Barker's, it's going to be Goodyear welted, easily repairable. Is it something I would recommend a gentleman buy early on in his shoe purchasing journey? Probably not, because it's quite niche. Its wearability is somewhat limited by its extremes of colour. But if you've got an extensive shoe collection, which I rather think Andy has, you know, it's a nice one to have in there when you want to jazz up your look a little bit. Okay, let's have a look at our next shoe, and this is a Magnanni horsebit loafer. Magnanni, of course, is a family-owned company. I think it's 3 generations in, and they're Spanish, and pretty much all of their products are made in either Spain or Portugal. They're not super high value. I mean, these shoes would cost between 250 and 300 British pounds, and they tend to go for somewhat more fashion forward in their appearance, generally speaking. If you look at the horsebit loafer, you know why it's called horsebit loafer? That bit of metalwork across the sort of front, the apron of the shoe, looks like a horsebit. I see them in the tack room all the time here, so I recognise that as a horsebit myself. And what we have is quite an elegant, quite smart, quite opulent pair of shoes. Clearly they're not designed for hard life, hard living. But they look very stylish, and they've got a nice sort of tealy blue colour, which is offset by that bit of mahogany strap across the horsebit area. I like them. They're elegant, they're smart, wearable with maybe a summer outfit. It's going to look rather spot on, isn't it? If you can imagine yourself sockless on the Algarve, somewhere like that, with linen trousers, a hot day, these are the perfect shoes to go along with that. So well covered. Next shoes, also what I would describe as more of a summer shoe, because it is a desert boot, and that's the Sanders high top. Now, I own a pair of these myself. I can sing or wax lyrical about these because I only bought my pair of Sanders a year ago. They cost 250 British pounds to buy directly from Sanders. Sanders don't have any retail stores. You generally have to buy them online. They're a family brand. Still in family ownership, 5 generations deep. They make around about 2,000 pairs of shoes a week. Many of the shoes they make are white labelled for other brands. So if you're buying shoes from, you know, fashion brands, actually you might be buying a pair of Sanders shoes, but the fashion brand has placed their identity on it. But Sanders, I really like Sanders as a brand. I think they're undervalued because their footwear is the equal of all of the big Northampton brands, and I'm talking about Crockett Jones, Cheaney, Church, Trickers, all of them. But they tend to go for a lesser price because they don't have the retail presence, they don't have the backroom costs associated with all of that. I just really think their kit is first class. The Sanders high top is basically a slightly unusual take on a desert boot. What we have is a lined suede upper, and they come in a variety of different colours. I've actually got a green one, but this is a lovely deep chocolatey brown colour. But they're very distinctive by the fact that they have that rather large rubber rand which goes around the bottom, that sort of margin, and underneath, of course, is a coagulated latex crepe sole. What I would say about these shoes, very, very classic, worn by Steve McQueen in the movie Bullet, also worn by Daniel Craig when he played James Bond in, I think, Spectre and a number of other movies as well. But far beyond their fame, what I like about them is their comfort. I bought a pair this year. They are unbelievably comfortable. I keep saying this, I'll say it again, it's like walking around on a cloud all day when you wear these fellas. Comfort is assured with these shoes. And not a bad price either, so not bad. Love these, look great. Moving on. We're going to stay with Sanders now. Sanders also have, as well as their sort of desert boot collection, they actually outsource, or sorry, I shouldn't say outsource, they are commissioned by the armed forces to make loads of shoes for the British military, particularly their officers, you know, the nice leather stuff. So they got a good collection of what I would describe smart shoes, casual shoes, and in the middle, those hybrids, the smart casuals. And that's what we've got here, the Theo. Now the Theo also costs about £280, although I noticed when I looked them up the other day, they were in the sale, £112 at the moment. What they are in essence is a wingtip Gibson style shoe. So Gibson, just another way of saying Derby, the flap style lacing system opposed to the Oxford style, which is enclosed. So Gibson style shoe. Remember what I said earlier, when you can immediately see the difference in colour between the upper and the sole, what we're talking about is a more casual shoe, and that's exactly what we have here. It's a navy suede upper, full wingtip brogue, Goodyear welted obviously. Yeah, very classy. I like it. It's a shoe, again, which I would suggest would be something of a summer shoe, I believe it is a day-night style sort of nipple effect base underneath, so you can wear it throughout the year, but let's be honest, suede is more of a summer style of material for footwear. I like it. They look unworn. Very nice, actually. Great price at the moment if you like them. I noticed on their website. So, my favourite brand, Trickers, the James Penny Loafer. Now, Trickers is a royal warranted company, so they make shoes for His Majesty King Charles. They're the oldest continually operating shoe company in the UK today. They can trace their history back to 1829. I've been to the factory, I've had the full factory tour. What an education that was. Everything with Trickers' name on it is made in the UK, made by hand. They are amazing. Bomb-proof, very over-constructed. You buy a pair of Trickers, they're going to last you for life. The James Penny Loafer cost about £500. Awesome, good quality, very nice. If you're a loafer wearer, I'm not a fan of loafers, I prefer laced shoes. But from this point of view, the penny loafer, why is it called the penny loafer? You will notice the strap across the apron of the shoe, there's a slot in it. In days gone by, people would keep their pennies in that little slot. That's why it's called the penny loafer. Trickers make about 1,400 pairs of shoes a week, I believe. Hard to get hard and fast figures, but they are one of the best heritage makers, and anything with Trickers' name on it, you know you're getting into quality. And until recently, they were still owned and controlled by the original founding family, still involved in it today, but lesser so. They're not majority shareholders anymore, but I like these shoes. Good colour, quite strong wearability across your casual, semi-formal wardrobe, I would say. Not quite formal. You wouldn't be wearing these with a suit. I mean, some people would. I wouldn't, but there we go. Moving on. Oh, here we go. The Trickers Stow, the classic, most famous product that Trickers produce. The Stow Country Boot. It is a Derby or a Gibson style boot with the flap lacing system. Wingtip brogue in appearance. Yeah, what can I say? It is the classic country boot. Trickers manufacture their boots. I mean, I own a pair. I haven't got a pair of Stow, actually. I've got a pair of Maltons, which are basically the Stow with a commando sole. But they are over-engineered. I mean, these things are bomb-proof. I will often describe my Trickers boots as being my zombie apocalypse footwear. Because when that happens, when the world goes to hell in a handcart, these are the boots I'm going to reach for, because these are the ones which I can stomp my way out of any problems. They come in a wide range of colours. They come in a wide range of sole styles. You can have leather soles, you can have day-night style soles, you can have commando soles, Ridgeway soles. They've got it all covered. They come in a variety of different leathers as well. You can have your standard leather, calf leather, kudu leather. They do a variety of different guest leathers from time to time. They come in a variety of different colours. It is a magnificent boot, and yeah, cost about £500, but it's a boot for the rest of your life. When you've made that purchase, you're not going out shopping for boots ever again, because these ones will get the job done for you. So, another British company, Cheaney. Cheaney, been to their factory as well, really enjoyed looking around there. Wonderful factory shop. If you live within travelling distance of Cheaney, you can save some amazing deals on them. What we're looking at here is another classic shoe. It's the Cheaney wingtip Oxford brogue. I think it's called the Arthur model. Would cost about £475 from one of the country's best shoemakers, Cheaney. Cheaney, by the way, relatively small to look at. The factory's not big to look at, but they do make about 1,500 pairs of shoes a week, and they are good quality as well. What we're looking at here is a classic wingtip brogue, undoubtedly Goodyear welted, and yeah, lovely colour. This looks like a shoe that's going to patina beautifully as the years pass by. This is a shoe you can wear with a suit in the city. I think it looks gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. What more can I say? They don't come much better than that. Cheaney, by the way, interesting history. They were actually purchased by two family members from the Church company. So Church's famous shoe manufacturer, obviously, they sold their company in, I think it was like 2008, 2009. And then two of that family took their money and they purchased Cheaney, which was a floundering shoe manufacturer about to go bust, and they turned it around. And I think Cheaney today represent the best of British shoemaking at a quite a decent price. And these are a classic example of their product. Beautiful, elegant, and yeah, would look good in any man's wardrobe. Moving on, Crockett Jones. Been to their factory, fabulous factory shop. Probably, pound for pound, the best shoes you can buy in the world today, I would say. Of course, you could spend a lot more, you can go bespoke, but if you're looking to walk into a shoe shop, buy a pair of shoes that you can wear there and then, Crockett Jones are hard to beat. And this is their wingtip Oxford brogue. I think it's called the Westgate, this one. This would cost about 595 British pounds if you were to buy it. Sorry, Indy just fell out of a tree behind me. And I think, you know, it's a lovely shoe. They make about 15,000 pairs of shoes a week, actually, Crockett Jones. They've been around since 1879, and they're still owned by their original family. So real dyed-in-the-wool Northamptonshire shoemakers. Their factory is pretty impressive as well, if you go and have a look at it. I like this one. It's a lighter tan colour, which makes it slightly more casual, slightly less wearable. So because of that light colour, I'd find this a little difficult to wear with things like suits, because my suits, business suits, tend to be navy in colour or charcoal grey, or variations of those. And I would say this colour is too light to wear with a navy suit. One of the things that I dislike seeing in the modern world is men who wear dark suits and light shoes. The contrast is jarring, it's not attractive, it draws the eye immediately to the shoe, detracts from the rest of one's appearance. I would suggest this is a little too light to call it a formal shoe, even though by being an Oxford full wingtip made by Crockett Jones, one would say it is quite formal. So hard to place it in one's wardrobe. Moving on, here we go, the big guns. Staying with Crockett Jones, the Islay boot. Made famous, of course, because it was worn by Daniel Craig in the Skyfall movie, in which the action scenes all take place when he was up in the Highlands of Scotland carrying out, you know, the battle against the antagonist in the movie. And the Islay boot is it must be one of the best sellers for Crockett Jones. Beautiful, beautiful, hard, tough, full wingtip dress boot, slightly higher than the Tricker Stow that we saw, above the ankle, making it, you know, really not a challenging boot to wear, but it's more robust, obviously. It's going to give you a lot more protection, hence why James Bond wore it in the Highlands, fighting across the fens as he did. However, it's not that difficult to take on and off, because thankfully Crockett Jones have provided us some speed lacing hooks for the sort of upper 5 lacing points, so it's not terribly hard to get on and off. But the beauty of this boot is its robustness and its appearance. I mean, it's a kind of standard dress boot really, but this has become the industry leader, I think, for very high quality men's dress boots. Available in a number of different colours with a different number of sole styles. What we have here is the chocolate brown grained leather. I think this is the one worn by Bond in the movies. And yeah, I mean, no man would argue if that fell into your wardrobe. It cost about £655. But again, as I say, I know people swallow at the price, but you're only going to pay this once. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. You're never buying boots again. Just as I was rounding up this, Andy sent me an extra picture of another pair of shoes, which I'll include here, which is a pair of I think they're Alan Edmonds Spectators. So, you know, that white variation coloured version. Again, very hard to wear in the modern era because they are a touch eccentric, but nice to have in the collection for those summer days where you want to put a statement out there. An interesting collection. A broad variety. Some dress shoes. Only one shoe in black I noticed, which means, you know, you haven't got much in the way of variety when it comes to dressing formally. If one was to say, what would I add to this collection? I would probably go for a quarter brogue in black of some kind, right? Quarter brogue being a black cap toe Oxford, basically, with just a little bit of broguing across the toe cap. What you have there is a perfect hybrid for your very smart, yeah, you could wear that to a black tie event if you build up the toe cap to a mirror shine, but still something you could wear daily for very smart suit occasions, because I note pretty much everything which has been displayed here today is either heavily brogued or more casual. So perhaps by adding a quarter brogue to your formal collection here, which is basically in this what we see here limited to a brown brogue and a black semi brogue, a little bit of a quarter brogue ticks a box for you there. On the other side of things, I'm going to make one more suggestion. What I don't see a lot of here, I know we had the Sanders high top in suede, very casual really, it's a desert boot. I think what you would benefit from is a chucker boot in suede. Something, shall we stick with Crockett and Jones? I don't have a particular model in mind, but you know, they all do one or another like these, but a nice traditional chucker boot in suede. With probably like a leather sole. It's going to be ideal for the summer months where you want to cut a dash, looking smart. You can pair that even with, you know, quite semi-formal clothing. In the warmer months, it's going to look great. All that remains for me to do is to thank Andy for sharing with us his beautiful and extensive shoe collection today. I hope you've enjoyed my jaunt through it. If you have, don't forget to like this video. And Indy's come back to say goodbye too. To like the video, subscribe if you want to see more like this. Equally important, if you have a shoe collection that you'd like to share with all of our friends and associates here, please drop it in to me. Just send me high quality images and I would be absolutely delighted to share it and inspire all of us into doing a little bit better in our shoe collections. Indy, don't do that in front of the camera. So until the next time we meet, my dear friends, take care, and I will see you again very soon. Well done, Indy. What are you up to up that tree, eh?